I, 58 male, have 2 kids, John, 32 male, and Susan, 29 female, and I started a business back in my late 20s after they were born. I've been growing it for the better part of 3 decades. Finally, however, my wife and I agreed that we have more than enough for me to retire, and so I am. Some backstory. Back when John was in high school, I gave him a job at my business, and soon after he started, he asked if I could give his friend Sam, 32 male, he was 17 when he started, a job as well. My son John was not interested in the work and quit after 4 months, and I will wholeheartedly admit that that was very painful at the time. But Sam loved the job. He continued to work throughout college, where he went into the same field as me, and I gave him a promotion when he completed his studies. Sam is very much my protege, and I see him as my second son. John studied finance, and after working at some other places, asked me if I could give him a job. I did, and he's extremely good at what he does. I love the fact that I get to work with both of them. I took my wife, John, Susan, and Sam out to dinner last week to tell them my retirement plan. Sam will take my place and own 60%, while John and Susan will each get 20%. I've never seen John so furious. He asked how I could choose Sam over him, my flesh and blood. He also said he's the one who studied running businesses and should be in charge. I told him that he's only worked for me for a few years and already quit once, where Sam has been working for me for 15 years, knows all of the clients, the products, and the production team, and has their respect. He then asked if he had my respect, and I told him of course, he's the best at what he does, but that doesn't mean he's the best fit for being the boss. My wife and Susan tried de-escalating the situation, but John left in a huff and hasn't been talking to anyone but Susan since. I know John's hurt, but Sam is the better choice since he's been working directly under me for years and knows the ins and outs of the business better than anyone but me. I've tried to apologize to John, but he won't let me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but you lack emotional intelligence. It would be obvious to most people that this should have been a conversation to have over a long period of time, individually, with each of the 3 concerned parties. Announcing the completed decision was bound to set off some unpredictable feelings. The best solution, as I see it, would have been to sell the business at a below market value to the 3 of them in the exact proportions you suggested, but only after individually explaining your plan to each of them and getting their feedback, starting with Susan because she's the one most removed from the business, but most likely to be able to predict her brother's reaction, and tweaking the plan based on her input. But now you've created a rift between them, and it'll be incredibly difficult for them to operate as partners. You have to talk to them again and find a way to show John that he's not second fiddle to your second son. I actually a little bit disagree with this. I don't think OP owed it to anyone to tweak his plan, even his family. Maybe that's really cold and heartless of me to say, but writing that OP lacks emotional intelligence simply because this isn't a choice that should be made based on emotions isn't the best read of this situation, in my opinion. OP's son shouldn't have assumed he'd be the owner. That's really insane entitlement. Running a business requires more than a blood relationship. His feelings are hurt, and he didn't get what he wanted, but so what? He's an adult. This family has a lot of time for this to smooth over. You can leave your business to whoever you want, as it's your business. However, in my honest opinion, you are the idiot. You're giving Susan, who did absolutely nothing for the business, an equal share to John, who's been working for you and contributing to the business. How's that fair? And you're being unfair to your son, judging him based on high school behavior. He's currently working for you, and you said he's doing a good job. Update. Am I the idiot for leaving my business to my second son instead of my children? Some people keep asking why I gave Susan the same amount and what her relationship to the business is. She's worked off and on as a contractor, and especially since she's had kids of her own, I wanted to give her some financial security. Susan is my daughter, and I want her to be taken care of. It's the same with John, as he's never expressed any interest in running the place and came back to work for me because he got laid off and had a hard time finding another job. I wanted to ensure some financial stability for him while ensuring that Sam was in charge. Also, nothing has been actually signed yet, and I'm still in charge. Susan came to the house and we just had a long discussion. She's been talking with John, and she told me he feels like this is me telling John that Sam is my real son. I asked her if she felt the same way. She doesn't, but she sees how it looks to John. I then asked her what she thought I should do, and she told me I should lower her share and give it to John. She said she would rather give him the money than watch him disappear from the family. I also asked her if she knew whether he actually wanted and/or expected to run the business. And as far as she knew, he didn't, and was surprised at how poorly he reacted. Before she left, I asked her to try and get him to have a conversation about this, and she told me, sure, but don't count on it being soon. I'm sick of everyone saying that I don't care about my kids. My wife doesn't see it that way. My daughter doesn't see it that way. Yes, I wasn't always present in their lives, and my business did take priority at times, but I did my absolute best to be there as much as possible. I made time for graduations, sports events, and other big milestones and events as best I could, and I was there for most of them. I may not have been present at all times, but I did my best to try. Also, Sam is not a complete stranger. Also, Susan called recently and told me that John will discuss this at lunch today, just me and him. To everyone saying I should have at least talked to lawyers and accountants, I agree in hindsight, that would have been best. But I wanted the three of them to know first that I was retiring and my plans as I saw them. OP, you have to solve this. I'm curious what your wife thinks about 60% of the inheritance going to Sam. Is that what she wants? Or is she just supporting you? Imagine you apply your plan. Sam gets 60% and is CEO. Your kids get 20% each. Next year, Sam lays off your son and decides to vote himself an incredibly high salary as CEO and vote against distributing any dividends. Your son is jobless, and your kids' shares are basically worthless and bring them zero money. What do? How do you react? Your kids basically had the downside of having an entrepreneurial father. Everything you missed, every time the business stressed you out. As a result, they grew up second to your business and are now told that they weren't second in your life. They were third after Sam. I hope you kept enough money to entertain yourself for your old days, because they won't be filled with family reunions. I, 23 female, have 3 kids, a toddler girl, a toddler boy, and my youngest son is an infant. It's been hard taking care of 3 kids on my own, and their dad isn't in the picture anymore, as he's decided to go a different path in his life. I live with my mom and my sister, 25, who goes to college and barely works. She goes to work maybe 15 hours a week, and in her free time, she does nothing at home. And I want to mention she does her college courses online, so 75% of the time she's at home with me. Yesterday, I needed a break, and my mom never wanted to help, so I reasonably asked my sister, who said she didn't want to do it. I asked why, and she had no reasonable explanation, and when I kept asking, she told me it was because she was going to watch her friend's daughter in a few hours. The time came and she never babysat for this friend's daughter. At this point, I was so frustrated that I was being lied to that I just asked her again if she'd watch them, and I just put my 2 oldest in her room, and I left with my son, and I told her I needed a break, and if she loved me, she'd do this for me. My sister thinks I overstepped my boundaries, but I don't see how I could have when I'm a mom of 3 and reasonably needed a break when she wasn't doing anything. Am I the idiot for asking my sister to babysit my kids? 3 kids that fast, that young, with a guy who just changed his mind? Is this real? If so, you are the idiot on steroids. It's none of your business why she doesn't want to babysit. She's a full-time college student, also holding down a part-time job. Apologize to her. I think it's real. I mean, she has 3 kids with a deadbeat, and she's 23. I don't think she knows how to make good decisions in her life. This is probably mild compared to every decision she makes daily. And then her kids are only 1 year in between each of them. These aren't unplanned pregnancies. These are people's inability to control themselves. Oof. Am I the idiot for asking my sister to babysit my kids? And then I just put my 2 oldest in her room and I left with my son. You didn't ask your sister to babysit. Instead, you abandoned your kids in her care against her will. If I were your sister, I would have called CPS and informed them that you had just abandoned 2 children without supervision and had them remove the children from the home. Add with no justifiable reason. The reason is that the sister didn't get knocked up. OP, you made the decision to have 3 children, not your sister. If you want a break and no one's willing to help you, you'll have to get a babysitter another way. Nobody needs to justify not babysitting your children, and yet you demand a reason. That's why your sister lied to you. I can only guess that you wouldn't have stopped asking if she just said that she didn't want to, which she has every right to. My daughter is finishing grammar school this year, and she has her heart set on attending a specific, somewhat prestigious college in a different U.S. state. My wife and I want to support her dreams, but she could be better of a student, so her chances of getting in are slim. She's very intelligent, but her effort level is low. My wife and I were good students who got scholarships to a good school and graduated debt-free. We tried to explain to our kids that this isn't our expectation for them, but our daughter really wants to do the same, although to a different, much more expensive school. Unfortunately, even if she did get in, I don't see her getting a scholarship for her dream school, and we can't afford to pay her way. We have explained that it'll be hard to get in, even for the best students, but she really wants to try. So we challenged her that if she got straight A's for the whole year, we'd take her on a summer trip to tour the campus. She hasn't ever gotten straight A's before, but it's always because she doesn't turn in homework or decides not to study for a test. Our hope with this challenge was that she could form some solid habits that would set her up for success in high school. She was excited about it and dedicated herself to giving her best effort. So far, she's gotten straight A's in every class, every term. However, in this final term, she's not on track to get an A in a couple of classes due to some assignments that need to be completed. We always ask her if she has homework, and she says no. We asked her why she was missing assignments, and she said, "I don't know, I just didn't do them." We've encouraged her to talk to her teacher about making them up, but she hasn't talked to her yet. We're going to do everything we can to help her get her grade up, but if she doesn't end up with A's, would I be the idiot if I don't take her on the trip this summer? I'd be inclined to let it slide if she had done poorly on a test or something, but the fact that she just didn't do several assignments and didn't have a reason why makes me feel like she didn't earn the trip. I'm happy to make her the same offer again for the next school year. I don't want to teach her that you can stop giving your best effort and still get what you want. If she does that in high school, her hopes of getting into this college will be gone. On top of that, this trip is not going to be cheap. We have 3 other kids and no one here to leave them with for a multi-day trip. So the cost of 6 plane tickets and a hotel room for 6 for a few nights is a major financial commitment. I'm not inclined to spend that much money if she just blows off some assignments after working the whole school year to earn the trip. I am happy to spend every cent I have if it helps my kids succeed in life, but I'm not sure this will. Am I the idiot if I don't take her this summer? Not the idiot. You set a challenge and she didn't earn it. But dude, you're really harsh on a child her age. Her behavior today is not indicative of getting into any college. Yeah, she needs to build better habits, but writing her off now sets her up for disaster and heartbreak. Kids have dreams and those change, so a visit would be a great motivator, but make it fun, not an "if you don't stop being sucky, you'll never make it." Take her on the trip and have fun. Get a tour if you can. Eat at some cool restaurants. Play frisbee on the quad. Why? Your kid'll love it. You are the idiot. Take her to get an ADHD assessment right now. I don't know, I just didn't, regarding school assignments, was almost my catchphrase. She's about to go to high school. She has time to achieve the success she wants, and as her parents, you need to do more than barge with and not believe in her. My sister, 33, and I, 31 female, each have a tween. My niece is Zoe, and my son is Cole. Zoe and Cole are very close. Zoe's dad was my childhood best friend. He and my sister got married a couple of years before Zoe was born, and he died when she was 4 weeks old. After that, my sister needed help, so I had Zoe with me during the day because I was home while my boyfriend at the time, and now husband, worked. So Cole and Zoe have grown up very close and are like siblings more than cousins. The name Ruby has been brought up a few times over the years. Cole told me Ruby was mean to one of the kids in his friend group. Another time, I heard from Cole and Zoe that Ruby got in trouble for pouring water over a bunch of kids' lunches, including theirs. Another time, she made fun of a child who started wearing glasses and didn't get cool ones but more bulky ones because the parents couldn't afford something more stylish. There were other times her name was brought up as well. About 2 years ago, my sister mentioned she was dating someone and she didn't know if it was serious or not. Then a year ago, she introduced him to everyone and his daughter, Ruby. My sister remarried 4 months after introducing them to everyone. Zoe and Cole were not happy. Ruby wasn't happy either, but wasn't saying anything to me about it directly. My sister was aware of the issues with Ruby and the fact that there were some long-standing bad feelings there. She was not deterred by this, and instead, she tried to pretend that they were all new to each other and attempted to get Zoe and Cole to include Ruby in their play and for them to be the Three Musketeers instead of the two peas in a pod. Zoe told her mom it would never happen and that Ruby didn't belong in the family. She got punished harshly for that. Cole told my sister he didn't like Ruby, and just because she was Ruby's stepmom now, it didn't change anything. My sister looked at me to back her up and tell him it changed everything, but I did not. She told me I should have had her back. A few days went by, and then she told me we needed to talk and said I needed to support getting the kids to bond and to give Ruby a chance because she has no extended family and she's having a rough time in school. I asked my sister what she meant by that, and she was reluctant to say. I wondered if her husband was getting calls about how Ruby treats other kids. She didn't deny it. I told her she couldn't erase what Zoe and Cole thought of Ruby, and she needed to accept that Ruby is not proven to be a friend to them, and they have more history with her being mean to others than her being her stepdaughter. She said that they're tweens and have so much more room to grow. I told her this was true, but you can't ask people to like someone who's mean to them and their friends. My sister said that I'm being too hard on Ruby, and I was an idiot for defending Ruby being excluded. Not the idiot. Your sister and her husband need to face up and deal with Ruby and her behavioral issues before trying to force her onto Zoe and Cole. If Ruby continues on this path, she'll go from being a mean little girl to being a mean adult. She obviously has issues that need to be addressed, and maybe a therapist could assist her. Until then, your sister needs to back off trying to force the whole happy family scenario, or the other kids will dislike and resent her more. As I told the principal, who tried to make my nice kids play with the class bully, her having no friends is a direct consequence of her behavior. You have to help her get whatever help she needs to be a good person, and my children do not have to play with her. You forcing them makes you a bully too. I will not tolerate anyone who forces my children to engage in behaviors or situations that make them uncomfortable. That's a dangerous precedent to set for many reasons. End of story. Your sister is the idiot. Yep, just because it's easier to police well-behaved kids doesn't mean that's what's going to fix the problem. Ruby isn't having a rough time in school. She's running a one-girl terror campaign. The other kids aren't going to bond with her or be able to stop her. What's going to be more likely is Zoe's going to get blamed for Ruby's behavior as her sister. So be prepared for your niece basically moving in with you. My sister remarried 4 months after introducing them to everyone. That was a mistake by itself. Your sister is a massive idiot. How long did you basically raise her kid? Did she even talk to Zoe about any of this? You should not have your sister's back here. You should be protecting your kids.